Do we know who created Bitcoin yet?
How money was managed, or how you may have had your money managed for the previous kind of 10 years, I don't think it's going to work very well for the next 10.
What would you say that you're most excited about now moving forward? Like, what are some really great opportunities, or what's exciting in your world in the future?
I always like to manage against, my friend, we like to manage against the grain, so to speak. Like we don't like consensus. That's the one thing I always tell people. It's like,
I love that.
You're on social media. 1 minute they're going to tell you everything's great. The next minute they're going to tell you we're in a recession. Then they're going to tell you,
We're on the rebound.
It's we call it recency bias, right? You turn on CNBC, one day they're going to say everything is great. The next week they're going to say it's not.
Yeah.
But I think where we're going to really kind of move forward is, teaching people that how money was managed, or how you may have had your money managed for the previous kind of 10 years. I don't think it's going to work very well for the next 10.
Yeah.
Just where that money's going to go, how you can kind of take advantage of those changes. And that may not mean being, owning only NVIDIA and Tesla and Netflix and Google. I mean, those companies will always have their place, but where people get tripped up is how much of your wealth is concentrated in certain places, right? And maybe you need the opposite, or maybe something else is going to behave a lot better going forward than that just did. And I think having that understanding, and that's where I come in to try to explain, where we were, where we are, where we're going, to me, that's an opportunity. But you have to understand what that opportunity set is. And I think having kind of this, not anti-US bias, if you will, but understanding there's other opportunities not here, and being able to take advantage of those is going to be beneficial going forward. And the digital asset world is going to, I don't know what's
going to be figured out. And
it's going to be, I don't know what to say the word catch fire, so to speak, but it's the nature of that world to have these giant, we've already seen it in 10 years, it's almost 15 years now, these giant swings. We're probably a year or two away from another, maybe stratospheric kind of move.
Yeah. Did you get in early on to Bitcoin, or when did you start really believing in it?
I started, democratization of research being on Twitter. Years ago, I befriended a big money manager in North Carolina, and I'd been hearing about it. And I said, Mark, is this like, give me the truth. I mean, is this real? Like, is this a real asset? Can we actually invest in it and not gamble in it? And he's like, yeah. He's like, Hugh, he's like, we're starting, and this was years ago, we're starting to look at building a fund, and, you've got all these the technologies reaching in other places, other, companies are being built. And his whole mantra was, invest in the picks and shovels. I hate to go back historically, but the gold rush, the people that made all the money were the people that were selling the picks and the shovels, and not, the people who lost all their money were looking for gold.
Yeah.
But it's the same with digital assets, like those businesses that are building blockchain and are finding their way and finding better technology and ways to help, the end customer, if you will. Those real businesses are going to do very well in the future. And the people that are trying to, make fake money or whatever, they're not. They're going to, that world is done.
Yeah.
But there's, the opportunity is just it's going to evolve over time for sure.
Do we know who created Bitcoin yet? Do we know? Like,
it was
isn't
me. It was me.
It could be. Was it you, Mark?
It wasn't.
I feel like it could, if all people could be Mark.
I mean, the stories are, they're funny, right? I mean, in the end of the day, I mean, who cares? As long, if you believe in it, secure it, and secure it somewhere cold. I always tell people who say to me, I have Bitcoin or I have this or that. I'm like, make sure you take it offline. Meaning, for people who don't know, there's hot storage. And maybe people have heard these terms: hot storage, cold storage. Hot storage means you have an online account like Robinhood or Fidelity or whatever, and it's sitting there. Mm-hmm. It's maybe you sell it one day, buy it the next. It's there. It's in the account. Cold is meaning you've taken it literally off the network. you have a drive, which anyone who I know that I learned that has it, I'm like, are you praying to hold? Are you going to hold it? Get it offline. Get a drive.
You're not even because there's
It's
digital
Literally,
wallets,
it's,
right?
It's a digital wallet, literally
Oh,
like,
wow.
like a thumb drive, like you would use to save documents. Trezor's got one. There's a few others that I recommend. And it's basically, there's a whole process you go through, but you're taking it from wherever it is. It's going on here, store it someplace safe. Make sure, if it's a family that they know all the codes, and because that's the disasters. Like you put it offline and you don't write everything down.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, safety first. But like you don't want to be in an FTX situation.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I hope those days are long gone. But make sure you're protecting it if you own it. Do not keep it online, if you will, unless you need the money that day or something like that. Just protect yourself at all times.